Jai-ho stared at the assignment paper on his desk, reading it for the fifth time. His four-fingered hands shook slightly as he looked at the word Earth again. Something had to be wrong. Surely Director Ha-won hadn't chosen him, a junior researcher, for such an important mission. The office around him was quiet and clean, like all spaces in the Galactic Research Institute. The white walls and soft blue lights felt safe. Normal. Everything Earth was not. A gentle chime rang as Director Ha-won entered his office. She moved with the typical grace of their species, her silver skin reflecting the office lights. "I can see you're surprised, Jai-ho," she said, settling into the chair across from his desk. "But there's no mistake. You are going to Earth." Jai-ho put down the paper carefully. "Director, with all respect, I'm just a junior xenoanthropologist. Earth is—" He paused, searching for the right words. "Earth is a Class 12 death world, the most dangerous inhabited planet in known space. Wouldn't someone more senior be better?" Ha-won's faceplates shifted in what Jai-ho recognized as a smile. "Tell me, what do you know about Earth?" "Well," Jai-ho began, bringing up the facts he had memorized in school. "It has extreme weather patterns that can change in hours. The ground itself breaks apart and moves. There are thousands of deadly animals. The planet has areas of burning heat and freezing cold. Sometimes the air itself turns into spinning death funnels." He shuddered. "And humans choose to stay there, even after we offer them colonies on safer worlds." "Exactly," Ha-won said. "That's why I chose you. You're young. You haven't decided you know everything about the universe yet. I need someone who can look at humans with fresh eyes." She stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the perfectly controlled environment of their homeworld. "Every senior researcher we've sent has come back with the same answer, that humans are simply too stubborn or too stupid to leave their dangerous world. But that can't be right. Humans have built amazing things. They've survived challenges that would destroy most species. There has to be more to the story." Jai-ho felt a mix of fear and excitement building in his chest. "What exactly do you want me to find out?" "I want you to discover why they stay. Not just the obvious answers, but the real reason. Why do humans love a world that tries to kill them every day? What makes them not just survive there, but choose to remain there?" She turned back to him, her expression serious. "You leave in 3 days. You'll meet your human guide, Dr. Kim Soo-ji, at the New Seoul Space Station. She'll help you adjust before taking you to Earth." As Director Ha-won headed for the door, she paused. "One more thing, Jai-ho. Don't underestimate humans. They may look soft and fragile compared to us, but there's a reason they survived on that planet. Everything about them, their bodies, their minds, their culture, was shaped by Earth's challenges. Never forget that." After she left, Jai-ho looked back at the assignment paper, his first real research mission, to the most dangerous inhabited planet in the galaxy, to study the most puzzling species anyone had ever encountered. He began to pack his research tools, trying to imagine what he would find on Earth. One thing was certain: this assignment would change his life forever. He just hoped he would survive long enough to write his report. The New Seoul Space Station was nothing like Jai-ho had expected. He had imagined a quiet, orderly place, like the research stations back home. Instead, the huge space station was full of noise, movement, and most surprisingly, laughter. Jai-ho stood near the arrival gate, his travel bag held tightly against his chest. Everywhere he looked, humans were walking, talking, and doing things that made no sense to him. 2 small humans, children he remembered from his studies, ran past him, their feet leaving the floor completely as they jumped in the station's low gravity. "You must be Jai-ho," a friendly voice said behind him. "I'm Dr. Kim Soo-ji, but please just call me Soo-ji." He turned to see a human female smiling at him. She was shorter than him, like most humans, and wore what seemed to be casual clothes instead of a proper science uniform. Her long black hair was tied back in a simple style. "Dr. Kim," he said formally, bowing as he had been taught. Thank you for meeting me. Sujai laughed. I said just Sujai is fine. Come on, let's get something to eat. You've had a long trip, and our station's food court has the best mixture of human and alien foods in this part of space. As they walked, Jaiho couldn't help but notice how Suji moved with complete confidence, despite the station's artificial gravity being set to Earth normal, much stronger than what he was used to. His own legs felt heavy and awkward. I have many questions, Jaiho said as they sat down with their food. He had chosen something safe from his home world, while Sujai had a bowl of what she called ramen. I'm sure you do, Suji said, skillfully using 2 thin sticks to eat her food. But first, I have one for you. What do you think of our station so far? Jaiho looked around carefully before answering. It's chaotic. On my world, space stations are quiet places. Here, everything seems to be happening at once. And those children earlier, they were running. In a space station. Suji nodded, still smiling. That's because we build our stations to live in, not just to work in. Those kids, their families live here. This station is their home. But it's so dangerous, Jaiho couldn't help saying. Space is dangerous enough without adding unnecessary risks like running children. Ah, Suji said, pointing her eating sticks at him. That's exactly why you're here, isn't it? To understand why humans do things differently. Tell me, what's more dangerous, letting kids run a little in controlled gravity, or raising them so carefully that they never learn to handle themselves in different situations? Jaiho blinked his inner eyelids in surprise. He hadn't thought about it that way. Tomorrow, Suji continued, we'll head down to Earth. But tonight, I want you to walk around the station. Watch how humans live. Talk to people. And most importantly, try to forget what you think you know about danger and safety. She stood up, gathering her empty bowl. One more thing. Try the ice cream before you leave. It's from Earth, and it's amazing. Just don't eat it too fast, or you'll get what humans call a brain freeze. As Jaiho watched her walk away, he looked down at his datapad where he had been taking notes. Under human characteristics, he wrote, they turn everything, even dangerous things, into opportunities for growth or dessert. He wasn't sure if he was starting to understand humans better, or if they were becoming even more mysterious. Jaiho sat in the shuttle, his safety harness pulled extra tight, as they entered Earth's atmosphere. Through the window, he could see the planet getting closer. It was a swirling mix of blue, white, and green that looked both beautiful and terrifying. First time on Earth? Asked the shuttle pilot, a human named Taemin. He seemed completely relaxed as he guided the ship through the turbulent descent. Yes, Jaiho answered, gripping his seat tighter as the shuttle shook. Is it always this rough? Suji, sitting next to him, laughed. This is nothing. You should see it during storm season. Now that's what I call a rough landing. The shuttle broke through the clouds, and Jaiho got his first real look at their landing site in the Pacific Northwest. Huge green trees covered the mountains, stretching as far as he could see. In the distance, a massive cone-shaped mountain rose above the others, its top covered in white snow despite the warm season. That's Mount Rainier, Suji explained, an active volcano. Don't worry though, we monitor it carefully. Jaiho's eyes widened. We're landing near an active volcano. On purpose. Of course. Taemin called back. Best place to study human adaptation. You've got mountains, forests, ocean, and yes, volcanic activity all in one place. Plus, the hiking is excellent. The shuttle touched down at a small research station nestled in the forest. As soon as the door opened, Jaiho was hit by something he'd never experienced before, natural wind. It carried dozens of scents he couldn't identify, and the air felt heavy with moisture. Take it slow, Suji advised as they walked down the ramp. Earth's gravity takes some getting used to. Jaiho took careful steps, feeling the strain in his legs. Everything felt heavier here. How did humans live like this all the time? A loud sound from the forest made him jump. What was that? Just a woodpecker, Suji said. A type of bird that pecks holes in trees to find food. You have animals that damage your plants, and you just let them. Of course, they're part of the ecosystem. Everything here is connected. Suji pointed to different parts of the forest as she explained. The woodpeckers make holes that other animals use for homes. Dead trees fall and become food for new plants. Even the volcano helps. Its ash makes the soil rich for growing. They reached the research station, a solid building made of local wood and stone. Inside, more humans were working at various tasks, all seeming completely unconcerned about being surrounded by what Jaho saw as constant dangers. Your room is ready, Suji said, leading him down a hallway. Rest today, get used to the gravity. Tomorrow, we're going hiking. Hiking? You mean walking in the forest, where the dangerous animals are? Suji smiled patiently. Jaho, I know this all seems scary, but think about why you're here. You want to understand why we choose to live on Earth. Well, tomorrow you'll start to see it through our eyes. That night, Jaho lay in his bed, listening to the strange sounds of Earth. Wind in the trees, distant animal calls, and something Suji had called rain hitting the roof. He had come to study why humans lived here, but now he had a new question. How did they learn to find peace in all this chaos? As he finally drifted off to sleep, he realized something. Beneath his fear, there was a tiny spark of excitement about tomorrow's hike. Maybe that was how it started for humans too. The morning started peacefully enough. Jaho, Suji, and two other human researchers named Hijin and Minki began their hike up a mountain trail. The weather was clear, and Jiho was just starting to enjoy the strange beauty of Earth's forest. Then everything changed. Storm's coming, Hijin said, looking up at the sky. Dark clouds had appeared almost from nowhere, moving faster than Jiho thought possible. But the weather report said it would be clear today, Jiho said, his voice shaking slightly. On his world, weather was controlled. It did exactly what it was supposed to do. Welcome to Earth, Minki laughed, already pulling supplies from his backpack, where the weather does whatever it wants. The temperature dropped quickly. Wind whipped through the trees, and large drops of water. Rain, Jaho reminded himself, began to fall. Thunder boomed overhead, making him jump. We need to find shelter, Suji said calmly, as if this was all normal. There's a cave system about half a kilometer ahead. We can wait out the storm there. Half a kilometer. In this, Jaho couldn't believe what he was hearing. Shouldn't we call for help? The storm's interfering with communications, Hujin explained, handing Jaho a waterproof jacket. Don't worry, we're prepared for this. They pushed forward through the storm. Jiho watched in amazement as the humans worked together perfectly. Heijin led the way, testing the path ahead. Minki kept track of their direction with a simple compass when their electronic devices stopped working. Suji stayed close to Jaho, helping him when the mud made his steps uncertain. Watch out, Minki suddenly shouted. A loud crack split the air as a tree branch, heavy with rain, broke off above them. Before Jaho could even process what was happening, Suji pulled him to safety. The branch crashed down where they had been standing moments before. Are you okay? Suji asked, checking him for injuries. You saved my life, Jaho said, still shocked. How did you know what to do? Experience, she answered simply. On Earth, you learn to watch, to listen, to react. It becomes natural. They reached the cave just as the storm hit its peak. As the humans efficiently set up an emergency camp, Jaho watched them with new eyes. They moved with confidence born from countless generations of dealing with Earth's challenges. What he had first seen as reckless behavior now looked like well-practiced skill. Here, Hojin said, offering him a hot drink from their supplies. "This will help you warm up." As they sat around the small heating unit, listening to the storm rage outside, Jiho noticed something strange. The humans were smiling, joking, completely at ease despite the dangerous situation. "I don't understand," he finally said. "We could have died out there. Why aren't you scared?" "Of course we were scared," Min-Ki said. "Fear is natural. But humans learned long ago that fear doesn't have to stop you. Sometimes it can help you survive." Besides, Suji added, "experiences like this teach us things no safe environment ever could. How to stay calm in danger, how to work together, how to trust each other." Jiho thought about this as he sipped his drink. For the first time, he began to truly understand. These humans hadn't just adapted to their dangerous world. They had learned to find value in its challenges. As if reading his thoughts, Suji smiled, "Still wondering why we choose to live here?" "Actually," Jiho said slowly, surprised by his own answer, "I'm starting to understand." After the mountain adventure, Suji took Jiho to Seattle, one of Earth's coastal cities. As their transport flew over the city, Jiho pressed his face against the window in disbelief. "You built a city here, between an active volcano, the ocean, and an earthquake zone?" he asked. "Not just a city," Suji said proudly. "A thriving city. Look there, that's the Space Needle. We built it to withstand earthquakes and hurricane-force winds." Their transport landed at a busy station in the heart of the city. Jiho had never seen anything like it. Tall buildings reached toward the sky, while thousands of humans moved through the streets below. The whole city seemed to pulse with energy. "This is impossible," Jiho muttered as they walked. "My research shows this entire area could have a massive earthquake at any time. Why would humans build here?" A young human engineer named Do-hyun joined them for the city tour. He worked on the city's safety systems and was eager to explain. "See these buildings?" Do-hyun pointed to the tall structures. "They're designed to move during earthquakes. Not fight against the earth, but dance with it. And look there, those are tsunami walls. They protect us from ocean waves after earthquakes." They visited the city's control center, where huge screens showed weather patterns, seismic activity, and hundreds of other measurements. Humans worked at different stations, monitoring everything. "We don't try to control nature," Do-hyun explained. "We learn to work with it instead. Every challenge taught us something new." A small tremor shook the building. While Jiho looked around in panic, none of the humans even paused their work. "That was just a small one," Suji said calmly. "About 2.5 on the Richter scale. Happens all the time." All the time. Jiho couldn't believe what he was hearing. "And people still live here." "Come with me," Do-hyun said. "I want to show you something special." They took an elevator to the top of a tall building. The view showed the entire city, with Mount Rainier in the distance and the ocean stretching to the horizon. The setting sun painted everything in beautiful colors. "Look down there," Do-hyun pointed to a busy street. "That's where a big earthquake hit 50 years ago. Instead of leaving, humans rebuilt everything, making it stronger. Each disaster taught us how to build better." Jiho watched the city life below. People were shopping, eating at outdoor restaurants, and children were playing in parks. They all knew about the dangers, but they chose to live their lives fully anyway. "What happens when the next big earthquake comes?" Jiho asked. "We're ready," Do-hyun said. "We have warning systems, escape routes, emergency supplies. Every child learns earthquake safety in school. Our buildings are designed to protect people, but most importantly, we have each other." "Community," Suji added. "That's humanity's real strength. When disasters happen, people help each other. It makes us stronger." As they watched the sunset, Jiho took out his datapad and made a new note. "Humans don't just survive in dangerous places. They transform them into homes. They don't see nature as an enemy to defeat, but as a challenge to understand. Maybe that's why they stay on Earth, not because they have to, but because facing these challenges together has become part of who they are. Ready for dinner? Suji asked. There's a great restaurant nearby. You can try some real Earth food. Jaiho looked at the city one more time and nodded. He was starting to realize that understanding humans meant doing more than just observing them. It meant experiencing their world the way they did, with both caution and courage. The Cherry Blossom Festival was in full swing when Jaiho and Suji arrived at the city park. Pink petals filled the air, dancing on the spring breeze. Hundreds of humans had gathered under the trees, spreading blankets on the ground and sharing food. But there was an earthquake warning just yesterday, Jaiho said, watching children run and play under the trees. How can they celebrate at a time like this? That's exactly why we celebrate, said a calm voice behind them. They turned to meet the park's elderly keeper, Dae-sung. His weathered face showed years of watching over this place. Please, sit with me, Dae-sung offered, gesturing to a bench. I've worked in this park for 40 years. Every spring, the cherry blossoms bloom. Every year, something tries to stop our festival. Earthquakes, storms, once even a small fire. But we always celebrate anyway. Jaiho watched as families took pictures under the trees. Aren't they afraid? Of course, Dae-sung smiled, feeding some birds that had gathered near his feet. But humans learned long ago that life is more than just staying safe. Look at these cherry trees. They're not the strongest trees. They lose their blossoms in the wind. But that's what makes them beautiful. A light tremor shook the ground. While Jaiho tensed up, the humans in the park barely seemed to notice. Children continued playing. Adults kept talking, and the festival went on. You see, Suji said, life on Earth taught us something important. Beauty and danger often come together. These cherry trees grow in an earthquake zone. Our most beautiful mountains are volcanoes. The same storms that can destroy also bring the rain we need to live. Dae-sung nodded. When I was young, a big earthquake damaged many of these trees. People said we should cut them down, plant something stronger. But instead, we helped them heal. Now they're stronger at the broken places, and still just as beautiful. A group of children ran up to Dae-sung, asking him to tell them a story. Jaiho watched as the old man gathered them around, speaking softly about the history of the park and its trees. He tells them about the earthquakes and storms. Jaiho asked Suji, "Isn't that scary for children? How else will they learn?" Suji replied, "Not to be afraid, but to be ready, to help each other, to find joy even in hard times. That's what it means to be human." As the afternoon went on, Jaiho found himself relaxing. He tried human foods at the festival stalls. He watched a traditional dance performance. He even held his breath as a strong wind blew through the trees, sending thousands of pink petals swirling around them. "I think I'd finally understand," he said to Suji as the sun began to set. "Humans don't stay on Earth because you're stubborn or because you don't know better. You stay because this planet, with all its dangers, taught you how to truly live." Dae-sung, overhearing this, smiled. "You know, young friend, there's an old saying here. The tree that bends in the storm is stronger than the one that never faced wind. Earth is our teacher. Every challenge it gives us makes us more than we were before." Jaiho took out his datapad and made one final note for the day. Perhaps Earth isn't just a home to humans. It's the force that shaped them, taught them, made them who they are. They don't simply survive here. They learn, adapt, and celebrate. In facing Earth's dangers together, they found their greatest strength, the ability to find joy and beauty even in a world that challenges them every day. Jaiho sat in Director Ha-won's office, his final report displayed on the screen between them. After 3 Earth months, he had returned home to the Galactic Research Institute. The comfortable, controlled environment that once felt so natural now seemed strangely quiet. "This is unexpected," Director Ha-won said, reading through his findings. You're requesting a permanent research position on Earth. Yes, Jai-Ho replied, sitting straighter in his chair. I haven't finished learning about humans yet. I don't think anyone could in just 3 months. The director looked at him carefully. Read me your main conclusions. Jai-Ho touched his datapad and began. Humans don't simply choose to live on Earth despite its dangers. They choose to live there because of them. Earth's challenges shaped everything about human society. Their technology, their cultures, and most importantly, their spirit. He continued, his voice growing more confident. Previous researchers called humans stubborn or foolish for staying on a dangerous world. But they missed something important. Humans don't ignore Earth's dangers. They learn from them. Every earthquake teaches them to build better. Every storm shows them how to prepare. Every challenge brings them closer together. And what about the safer colony worlds we offer them? The director asked. Some humans live on those worlds now, Jai-Ho explained. But most choose to stay on Earth. Not because they have to, but because Earth's dangers gave them something no safe world could. The ability to face challenges and grow stronger. Director Ha-Won's faceplates shifted in a slight smile. You've changed, Jai-Ho. When you left, you could barely look at pictures of Earth without shaking. I know, Jai-Ho laughed. Yesterday, I caught myself missing the sound of rain on windows. Real rain, not the controlled moisture cycles we have here. He brought up images on the screen. The mountain trail where they survived the storm, the city that danced with earthquakes, the cherry blossom festival where humans celebrated life despite all its dangers. Humans have a saying, Jai-Ho said. What doesn't kill you makes you stronger. I used to think it was just another example of human recklessness. Now I understand. It's their way of seeing opportunities where others see only threats. The director was quiet for a moment. Then she said something that surprised him. I knew this would happen. What do you mean? Why do you think I chose you for this mission? She stood and walked to her window. Every researcher who went to Earth with a lifetime of experience came back with the same answer, that humans were primitive or foolish. I needed someone who could learn to see Earth through human eyes. Jai-Ho thought about Su-Jai, He-Jin, Min-Ki, Do-Hyun, and Dae-Sung. All the humans who had taught him to see their world differently. So my position on Earth was approved before you even asked. Director Ha-Won smiled. We need more researchers who understand humans the way you now do, not as a primitive species that needs to be saved from their dangerous world, but as beings who found strength in facing those dangers together. As Jai-Ho left the office, his new assignment already approved, he made one final note. Earth isn't just a death world. It's a teacher, a challenge, and a home. And humans aren't just survivors. They're its greatest students. Maybe that's why they choose to stay. Because on Earth, every day brings a new chance to learn, to grow, and to prove that the most dangerous thing in the universe isn't nature's fury. It's underestimating humanity's ability to turn challenges into triumph.